Hello, Teacher
Hi.
Victoria here. Hi, Laura.
Hello.
We're here with Lead from Home, and we are so excited to have this wonderful conversation with our new friend and contact, Laura. Laura, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do?
Sure, of course. My name is Laura Franks. I'm a mortgage lender in the state of Texas. I've been doing this for 13 years. Prior to that, I did real estate for 6 years. So I've been doing this a long time. Pretty familiar with it.
So I invited Laura to have a conversation with us, just chat it up about some of the things that we, as independent contractors, might stumble across or we have apprehensions about when pursuing our ultimate dream, buying a home. So I thought that maybe getting connected with somebody, my home state is Texas, so I'm so excited to have somebody representing Texas. But a lot of these translate to just the process in general, and I will say that if anybody has questions about their specific state requirements and processes, definitely reach out to someone just like Laura in your area. But please, of course, we're going to share some tips here.
Definitely.
Yes, thank you, Laura.
I think most of what we're going to talk about is going to apply to any state, but there will probably be some little differences between states. So definitely a good idea to check with your local lender for whatever state you're purchasing in.
Good. Now, as an independent contractor, we are provided with 1099 miscellaneous. That's our equivalent to a W-2, but it signals to the IRS that we are independent contractors. And maybe we get taxes taken out if we're paid for taxes, something like that. That's our document. Now, as an online ESL teacher, we have to print our 1099 miscellaneous out in order to do our taxes. Anything that we should be aware of when it comes to the mortgage lending process?
Definitely. It's just a whole different process for an independent contractor, anybody who's considered self-employed. Anytime you have income we consider variable.
Right.
So not an hourly by 40 hours or not a salary, but like things that are dependent on your production, your projects, your mileage, commissions, bonuses, anything like that will have to be averaged over 2 years. So you have to be doing your job for 2 years.
I love it.
Okay.
That is so important.
Very. So definitely make sure. Now, the important thing is if your goal is to buy a home, you have to plan ahead for that, because I'm going to show you this. This is a form. I'll put it up to the camera. Schedule C. Yeah. This is the form that you'll be filling out for your taxes. At the top line, you're going to be putting your gross 1099 income that comes in on your 1099. But what happens here in the middle part is deductions. I don't know if you could see that.
Yes. Our expense
But that's
list.
where you're going to take up. Yes, you're going to take out all your expenses, the things that you need to pay to run your business. So supplies and I don't know if you pay an assistant or whatever deductions you take, the bottom line net number is what we're going to use to help qualify you. So believe it or not, sometimes we have people with gross receipts, gross income, like $100,000. Right. And after all their deductions, they made $12,000 that year. That's what we have to use.
Yes, and that's such a really valuable tip. And I know a lot of independent contractors that are starting their businesses or starting a new venture. On income tax, the pattern is show loss for the first year or so, deduct, and because growth actually happens over time, and maybe not see any immediately. That's very important, and I guess that is also why the requirement is for 2 years worth of a money trail. There we are.
Yes.
Because we want to see that stability.
Exactly. So any mortgage underwriter is going to be looking for reliable, predictable income. So what the tips are then, if you are planning on buying a home, don't write off so much. Right. I know that might mean you might have to pay some taxes, but that also means you'll be able to get your home. So, watch those deductions if you're planning on buying a home. The other thing is declining income. We don't want that, in 2019, you made X amount, and then in 2020, you're going to report less. Declining income is not good for independent contractors or self-employed people. You want to see that your business is growing every year, or at least staying stable.
I like that idea of, I'm a visual person, so when you say declining income, I get it. And it makes sense knowing that we've had some really important challenges. And I say important, but it really is impactful. That's what I'll say. The challenges that we've all faced over this last year. And maybe many people are experiencing that gradual decline in their income or being able to track it differently. The sources might have changed.
Yeah, deductions, and watch for increasing income or stable income is what we want to see. And then we're going to take that bottom line number on that Schedule C. Now, Schedule C is if you're just, you're a single person, you're an online teacher. If you do create an LLC or some kind of corporation, there's other tax forms that go with that. Definitely talk to your accountant about, what's best for your specific situation. But the bottom line net number, we're going to take like 2019 and 2020, add them together and divide by 24. And that's how we come up with your gross monthly income.
I see. So if anybody it's good for budget planning, to set your target goals. I know for independent contractors sometimes, and I think that this is really changing that mindset, is to know, okay, if this is my goal, my ultimate goal is to buy a house at this income and this comfort level, and then to have this income to sustain that lifestyle, then I need to shoot for this kind of income or this goal and meet that during the month and show that pattern. I like knowing that number ahead of time. So that is really helpful. And knowing that formula would benefit somebody that's planning.
Yes, for sure. I mean, if we're going to get into a little, I hope it's useful, but what you want to look at when you're trying to qualify for a home is your gross monthly income. If you're married, your spouse's income, and yours. So let's just say you're averaging, you take your 24 months and averages $3,000 a month. And let's say your spouse is earning $5,000 a month. You have $8,000 gross monthly income combined. Just for simplicity's sake, we're going to say you can go up to almost half. Let's just say 50%. It's, it can vary a little depending on your credit scores and things like that, but let's just say half. That's how much total debt you should have a month, total combined everything. So let's say $4,000 is 50%. From that $4,000, you're going to deduct any car payments, any student loan payments, any credit card minimum payments. What's left over is how much house payment you can afford.
I see. The monthly payments, mainly because and maybe others are the same way, but my husband pays, he has his list of bills and mine are separate. And so I never pay, right now and I guess this is an example for others, maybe you're renters. We're a transient military family, so we often rent or we live with base housing or post housing. So it can change from from family to family, but the biggest thing is that 50% as far as monthly, and it's combined.
Yes, combined if you're both eligible, if you both have good credit and you're both going to be on loan. But things like rent, utilities, taxes, we're not looking at that. We're just looking at student loans, credit card payments, and car payments.
Oh, interesting. I like that.
Child support, alimony. Because of obviously, if you buy a home, you're not going to have a rental anymore. So we don't have to worry about that debt. Yeah.
Good. Now, is there anything, I don't want to say anything else because I know there's a lot when it comes to 1099 Miss, independent contractors, that because we start to look at individual programming almost, individual plans for getting the right house, the right fit. What about information that they need to present? What form should it be in?
Well, we're going to ask for full tax returns. Any document anybody ever asks for on a mortgage, it's going to be complete. Even a bank statement, it's page 1 of 5 and 5 of 5 is blank. We still need it because it's labeled 5 of 5. So
yes,
we're going to ask for your whole tax return. We're going to ask for W-2s or 1099s, whatever you've had for, within your family for the last 2 years. Bank statements, pay stubs, IDs. That's about the beginning of it.
Are there any kinds of, I don't know,
Incentives?
programs. Yes, incentives for educators or independent contractors or even people who live in Texas.
I'm sure that's going to vary state by state. As far as
Right.
Texas is concerned, there are several bond programs that help with down payment assistance for educators or for actually many families, even if you're not an educator. There's lots of programs. So definitely, everybody needs to check with their own state, with their own lender who's knowledgeable on those things and ask about that. But yeah, you can get down payment assistance. Or if you have the down payment, you can use that money sometimes for closing costs. I mean, there's definitely things out there, and it's good to ask.
I love it.
Different state by state. Mm-hmm.
Knowing that there are incentives that we may qualify for, it just never hurts to ask. So I really like that. And
some builders, if you look at new construction, will have incentives too. And yeah, definitely do some research. A good realtor that's going to guide you will know where to, advise you to go if you're interested in those kinds of things.
Good. Now, where in the process should someone let's talk about the process of buying a home. Where in the process should we be looking to talk to a mortgage lender before we even look to buy a house? Or is this something that's part of the process automatically or naturally?
It's definitely, it should be the very first step that you take. It doesn't usually work that way. Usually they'll call the realtor first. People will call the realtor first, and the realtor will say, I know a great lender, and refer you to the lender. But really, especially if you have some concerns, if you think that there might be some things you need to work on, or, you're not quite sure where that credit score is, as soon as you're thinking, next couple months, I want to buy a house, have it checked out, because sometimes we can look at the credit report and say, okay, your credit score is a little bit low right now, but I can see that if you pay down this credit card or that card, your credit score is going to boost. I've seen it up to 80 points, 50 points,
Wow.
It can't. Sometimes it's just a matter of paying something down. So if you've got, if you're planning ahead, then you've got time to get your credit score right to where it needs to be. So you get the best interest rate, you get, more options, you can qualify for a little bit more. Definitely step one is what it should be. And then you'll be asked for, full name, social, date of birth, address, income. We pull that credit report, see what the bills are, see what the income is. And based on whatever loan program you're doing, VA, FHA, conventional, we'll come back and say, you qualify for X amount. And then you can say, well, but I really only want my payment to be about, $1,200. Then we'll say, okay, well then you should be at this amount. Because we could tell you how much maximum you qualify for, but really only you guys know what you're comfortable with in your own family. Maybe you like to take a lot of vacations. Maybe you like to save a lot of money, per month, which is great. So we can totally advise you on all of that based on what you tell us you want.
Good. Now, speaking of the process and just the information that I heard, we need to be aware of our deductions, our income over time. I have heard this called the debt to income ratio.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what should that look like overall? And the debt to income ratio is basically what are your expenses to your overall gross income? Not gross income. Is that right? Gross income?
Yeah, it is gross.
Okay.
So when I said 50%, that's I was talking about that back end ratio is what we call the back end ratio. That is that 50% should be your new house payment plus all your debts should not exceed more than 50%. Really, it ought to be closer to 45%.
Right.
But, as a just for simplicity's sake, we used 50 for our example, but 45 is good and comfortable generally. For your housing expense, the rule of thumb, not that it sticks to this, but the rule of thumb is it should be about 29% of your gross monthly income for your house payment. So if you take your gross monthly income for your household combined times 29%, that's what your maximum house payment ought to be.
Right. And so that I like that idea because then you can predict again or know more or less what house or what neighborhood, what size that we can afford. And I want to say that word afford because we want to comfortably live. And especially as independent contractors where we may experience ebbs and flows in our business, we want to have that comfort and security, especially a house. It's the dream. It's the, we want to be able to keep it and maintain it and have that place over time. So I like that, knowing that information ahead of time. Any common mistakes or errors that you have seen over time that kind of may delay the process for independent contractors or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times with independent contractors, it's what we already talked about, is that they, write off all these deductions. Their accountant, advises them to do all of this so that they don't have to pay so many taxes. But if the goal is to buy a home, that's not what you want to do, honestly. The other thing is, take very good care of your credit.
Yes.
So no late payments, no collections. We, at least for 12 months, just people don't understand sometimes that one late payment that's 30 days late can knock your score down 100 points.
Yes.
That's a difference between getting a 2.75 rate or a 3.75 rate. I mean, and that's a big deal. So take good care of your credit, pay everything on time, keep your balances low on your credit cards, but definitely have established credit.
Right.
It's very hard to do a loan with someone, mortgage is not generally how you want to start building credit. So
no.
Yeah, you should have some credit cards first. And credit cards are 33% of your credit. And as a mom and a responsible adult, you're kind of like, don't want to get into the credit card, debt situation, but it's good to have an account established. It's good to put a little something on it every month, and it's great to pay it off every month and keep that account open. The longer you have it, the better it is for your credit.
Good. I like that. And credit, I used to be very opposed to credit, just bad experiences when I was very young, but now I understand the process, and it's really just showing that you have a bill and you pay it. it's over time. It's your credit. It's how you are reflected in by when somebody allows you to borrow money, do you pay it on time, and
exactly
do you maintain that commitment? So I really like that. I get it now. It clicks. But then again, I'm a bit older.
Right. And I mean, this ought to be taught in high school. It really should.
It should. We learned how to write a checkbook when we were, or maybe I did. Maybe I'm dating myself, but we learned how to do the checkbook and balancing and things like that. For a checking account, we should include finance in our classes. It really makes sense to have that financial intelligence in early adulthood when we are inundated with advertisements for credit cards and cars, and we're finally just getting out there and getting work. So I think I agree with you.
Absolutely. It's important, but don't overdo it either. I mean, I've had pulled credit reports with like 50 credit cards on it, and that's not great either. So no, select a good one, maybe one that'll get you mileage. It doesn't have a lot of fees, whatever, and just keep that balance low, pay it off, and just take good care of it. It's cash at home. Another issue that we see is that a lot of people, especially when they're self-employed or contractors, sometimes they keep cash at home. They cash those checks and keep the money in a drawer or in the mattress.
Yes.
You can't use that for mortgages. You need to put your money in the bank. I had a customer recently, wanted to put a $50,000 down payment down, but it was mattress money.
Yes.
You can't verify or source where that came from. We cannot use it for mortgage purposes. So deposit your money in the bank and keep it seasoned in there. Yeah, try to keep a little savings account.
Yes, and I know that this is a side note, but there are, if you are accumulating or want to just save that money for another time, we can, I wouldn't say invest it, but because it's our money, we're investing in ourselves really, is making that decision to put it in a high interest yield savings account. Get money on the dollars that you're already making and putting aside.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I've had that argument like, well, I don't trust banks, so I keep my money at home. Well, okay, so if your house burns down or somebody breaks into your house, it's really more secure in the bank. It really is.
Yes, there's no insurance for that. Somebody might stumble across it in that cookie jar. So yeah, I mean, that's
another one we come across a lot.
Yes. Oh, well, I'm glad that information is out there. And I hope if you're listening, please take your money out of the cookie jar and put it in the bank. We want to see the money over time, the stable, the account holding, and those things before mortgage approval.
Yes. So as far as most of the time, unless you're doing a conventional loan with 20% down, your taxes, your insurance will be part of your payment. The interest that you pay on your mortgage is tax deductible. So if you own a home, it actually has a tax benefit. So if you're used to getting a refund, you'll be getting a slightly bigger refund because you own a home, because all the interest that you pay on that mortgage is tax deductible. Check with your accountant on limitations. I think it's like $750,000 house or something like that. Some things changed. That's a CPA question, but definitely benefit to own a home. And I just wanted to also mention, so in general, if you want to buy a home, there's 3 things you need to have. So it's going to be credit, income, and assets. So if one of the 3 is weaker than the other, so like say your credit score is maybe on the lower side, but you do have some savings and you're not overextending yourself. Like if I say, well, technically you can qualify for $250,000, but you're really only looking for $180,000. If you're being conservative, if you have 2 strong things out of the 3, usually that means you can get a loan.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So if you have strong credit and you're buying within your means, but you don't have any savings, sometimes we can make that work with down payment assistance or something.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Mm-hmm. I love the idea that if we know those target goals before we walk in, and we can work on those are things that we can work towards, and we can prevent any challenges because maybe our credit is weak. We know, okay, my goal is to get a house in 1 year, or a 2-year goal. I don't know, but for example, and they can plan to pay down maybe a large credit card or consolidate their credit cards so that they're only having 2 primary ones, or maybe one that, if they go from 5 to 1. I think that that's a great idea or tip.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to close any cards. So I've got a card that I've had since 1994, I think. I mean, the older the card is, the better. I mean, balance doesn't matter. You keep it 0, use it once in a while so they don't close it on you. But, if you do have cards, sometimes when you close them, they actually lower your score.
Oh, that's right, because the overall amount, the credit limit goes down. And that's one tip that I remember my husband had told me many years ago, but he had said that, it's okay to increase that limit if you're only, but you can keep that mindset that you have the original balance, and you just work with it, because the larger the limit, the better it reflects on your score. So yes, I like that.
That's true. That is true.
Good. All right, Laura, I really value your time, and I thank you so much for sharing all of this great information with us. We now know the 3 things that we should go for a healthy conversation with a mortgage lender, and a few other tips about what to plan and what people are looking for, and what we should be looking for too when it comes to a house and our finances. And to know that we've got to have 2 years of
same line of work, yes, and report it on your taxes, and don't write off too much.
Right, I love it. Do you have any final remarks?
No, I mean, I think I'm trying to not to
overwhelm
you, with information, but I have a Facebook page. It's, Laura Franks Loan Officer. If you guys have questions, just go ahead and message me, like on Messenger, whatever. And as long as it's not state specific, I can give you general information. Yeah.
I love it. I would love to invite you back on the show later, as time goes on. I know, what is a busy time of year for by purchasing houses or large purchases? Do you see more in a certain time of year, or is it consistent?
I would say usually January and February seem to be slower, but other than that, the months are crazy.
Yes.
So I couldn't tell you that, but it's right now. I mean, I don't know nationwide, but here it's been absolutely crazy. I've been in this market 13 years, and for the first time ever, it's become a seller's market.
Wow.
Multiple offers on every house, where before buyers were getting all their closing costs paid for, and they had, 10 homes available for every one buyer to see. And that's just not this year. It's just crazy.
I wonder why that is, but that's something to think about. And I was curious, knowing that January, February, we start to collect our stuff for our taxes, and maybe we're seeing refunds early February, and that might be why people are looking to close on houses during the springtime. So I like that idea. And knowing this information, I feel empowered. I feel stronger. So on behalf of everybody, I thank you for your time. I'm going to have Laura's information in our description box. And like she said, she invited everybody to contact her with any questions. If it's state specific, she wants you to refer to your somebody local, but she's open and willing to share information with everybody.
I really appreciate you having me.
Oh, thank you so much. Like I said, everything was a wealth of knowledge. And though I had an understanding, a general understanding, I'm glad I've got some of those just sharp and tooled in my mind. I can access them when I need them and go from there. I'm so grateful that you took the time to share your information with us.
Thank you so much.
As you can tell, Laura is very friendly. So I hope you all have a great experience, and I wish everybody much luck in the new year. We're not there yet, but we're close. We're almost to the finish line, everybody.
Almost there.
Happy teaching. See you all next time. Bye.